The pristine halls of the Andromeda Science Academy gleamed under artificial starlight as Sarah Chen made her final adjustments to the quantum resonance chamber. At 12 years old, she possessed an understanding of stellar phenomena that surpassed many of the Council's senior researchers. Her small fingers danced across the holographic interface, each movement precise and purposeful. Recording session 42, she spoke into her personal log. The star's harmonic patterns show signs of intelligent design. I believe we're not just observing natural phenomena. We're seeing an ancient form of communication. Outside the observation dome, the binary star system pulsed with a rhythm that only Sarah had recognized as significant. The Council scientists had dismissed her initial findings, attributing them to an overactive human imagination. But Sarah knew better. She had spent 3 months analyzing the patterns, discovering a mathematical sequence that couldn't be coincidental. The quantum resonance chamber hummed to life, its crystalline structure aligning with the stellar frequencies. Sarah's heart raced with excitement as the first clear signals began filtering through her equipment. The star's light transformed into data, then into recognizable patterns that her algorithms could decode. "This is incredible," she whispered, watching as ancient messages began forming on her screen. "The star isn't just communicating, it's a library. The pulses are carrying thousands of years of stored information." A soft chime from her communication panel interrupted her thoughts. The automated message was clear. "Unregistered energy signature detected. Please verify your research authorization." Sarah reached for her identification card, the one that had cleared her through dozens of security checkpoints. "This is Sarah Chen, Earth Exchange Student ID 775, conducting approved stellar research under Protocol 89B. The response came instantly. "Scanning biological signature." She continued working, used to the Council's constant security measures. The quantum chamber's readings were becoming stronger, clearer. Each pulse of starlight revealed new layers of information, pieces of a cosmic puzzle that had waited eons to be solved. The interference patterns suggest a way to encode matter itself into stellar frequencies, she recorded, her voice trembling with excitement. "If we can understand this, we might be able to develop instantaneous transportation across." The security panel flashed red. "Alert! Anomalous neural pattern detected. Species verification failed. Emergency Protocol 7249B initiated." Sarah's fingers froze above her console. There must be a mistake. "This is Sarah Chen, authorized researcher. Please check my credentials again." The Academy's defense grid awakened, its ancient protocols interpreting her unique brainwave patterns, enhanced by her rare genius, as something alien, something threatening. Warning lights bathed the observation dome in crimson. Final warning. Unauthorized entity detected. Containment procedures activated. Sarah's last moments were spent not in fear, but in desperate preservation of her discovery. Her fingers flew across the console, uploading her findings, her research, and the security system's sensor logs to her personal quantum drive. As the defense grid charged, she broadcast one final message to Earth. "Mom, Dad, I found something amazing. The stars are talking to us, and I learned how to listen. I love." The defense system activated with cold efficiency. In the silence that followed, Sarah's quantum drive continued its transmission, carrying her final discovery across the vast distance to Earth. The Council's automated response reached Earth just minutes later. Protocol 7249B executed successfully. Containment of unregistered entity achieved. Standard reparations package will be processed according to subsection 47 of the Interstellar Security Agreement. In the observation dome, Sarah's last decoded message still glowed on the screen. "To those who learn to listen, the stars will share their secrets." Below it, streams of data continued to flow, carrying the knowledge that would have revolutionized space travel, and the complete record of how humanity lost one of its brightest young stars. The quantum transmission reached Earth at 3:47 a.m. Mountain Time. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Lieutenant Marcus Young's night shift at the old NORAD facility transformed from routine to historic in the span of a heartbeat. His console lit up with patterns he'd only seen in training simulations, the kind designed to prepare operators for messages they hoped would never come. "Sir," he called out, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "Priority 1 transmission from the Andromeda Science Academy. It's about Sarah Chen." General Rebecca Hayes materialized beside his station within moments, her silver hair still perfect despite the late hour. She'd been expecting something like this since the Council had begun accepting human students. They'd all known it was only a matter of time before the rigid automated systems encountered something uniquely human they couldn't process. "Show me," she ordered softly. The quantum drive's contents spilled across their screens. Sarah's research, her final moments, and the damning sensor logs that showed exactly how the Council's systems had failed. But it was the final data packet that made the General's breath catch. Sarah had managed to document the defense grid's complete response protocols. "Send word to Nevada," Hayes commanded. "Authorization code. Remember Thermopylae." Beneath the desert's shifting sands, huge sections of Earth began to move. Massive hangar doors, disguised as natural rock formations and hidden from Council sensors by technology reverse-engineered from a dozen alien species, slowly opened for the first time in 20 years. Inside the first bunker, rows of lights flickered to life, illuminating the sleek form of the UES Remembrance. The carrier's hull gleamed with a coating that absorbed all scanning frequencies, a technology Earth had claimed to abandon during the integration with the Council. Around it, other ships stirred from their slumber, destroyers, cruisers, and vessels that had no classification in Council records. "Begin startup sequence on all vessels," Hayes ordered through the quantum comm. "Initiate Protocol Lazarus." Across the solar system, similar scenes played out in hidden facilities on Mars, Europa, and deep within the asteroid belt. Humanity had never truly decommissioned its fleet. They had simply gotten better at hiding it. In Washington, D.C., the emergency session of Earth's Defense Council convened in a chamber that hadn't seen use since the pre-Council days. The members arrived in ones and twos, their faces grim as they watched Sarah's final transmission. The Council's response package arrived 10 minutes ago. Admiral James Chen, Sarah's uncle, reported. His voice carried the weight of personal loss and professional duty. "They're offering standard reparations according to subsection 47. The room erupted in controlled fury. Standard reparations, as if any amount of credits could compensate for Sarah's life, or the loss of her groundbreaking research. "Show them the fleet readiness reports," Hayes commanded, her hologram flickering in the center of the chamber. The displays lit up with status updates from across the solar system. Ships that officially didn't exist reported full combat readiness. Crews that had trained in secret for decades stood ready at their stations. The old fleet, maintained with a dedication bordering on religious fervor, was awakening. "The Council believes we abandoned our military capability in favor of their automated defense systems," Hayes continued. "They think we traded our independence for security. It's time to show them how wrong they were." In Nevada, the first ship rose from its desert tomb. The UES Remembrance cast off decades of dust as it pointed its bow toward the stars. Its engines, powered by technology the Council had never imagined humans could master, hummed with barely contained power. Humanity's response was beginning, and it would shake the galaxy to its foundations. Admiral Helena Santos stood in the observation deck of the UES Remembrance, watching her breath fog the crystalline viewport. The carrier's massive hangar stretched below, filled with fighters that hadn't touched vacuum in 2 decades. Her fingers traced the cool metal of the railing as memories of past battles flickered through her mind. "Engineering reports all systems nominal." "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Patel reported, his tablet displaying streams of diagnostic data. "The preservation protocols worked better than we hoped. Quantum cores are at 98% efficiency." Santos nodded, her eyes fixed on the organized chaos below. Maintenance crews swarmed across the fighters, their movements precise and practiced despite years of conducting only simulated drills. Each technician knew their role by heart. They had trained their children for this moment, passing down knowledge that officially didn't exist. "Show me the modifications to the Epsilon Squadron," she ordered, turning to face the holographic display that sprang to life beside her. The fighters appeared in perfect detail, their hulls shimmering with layers of technology that would make Council engineers question their fundamental understanding of physics. What appeared to be standard hull plating was actually a complex matrix of quantum-entangled particles, capable of bending both light and gravity. "We've integrated Sarah Chen's final research data," Paddle explained, his fingers dancing across the display. "Her discoveries about stellar communication frequencies led us to modify our stealth systems. The Council won't just have trouble seeing us. They won't even know what to look for." Santos moved through the carrier's corridors, passing crews that snapped to attention at her approach. Each compartment held its own surprises, technologies developed in secret, while humanity played the role of humble newcomers to galactic society. In the main engineering bay, she paused before the quantum core. The massive sphere of contained energy pulsed with a deep blue light, its surface rippling with patterns that mimicked the stellar language Sarah had discovered. Chief Engineer Martinez stood nearby, monitoring readings that would have made Council scientists flutter in disbelief. "We've incorporated the stellar harmonic patterns into the drive signature," Martinez reported proudly. "The core now mimics natural background radiation. To Council sensors, will look like nothing more than stellar noise." Santos placed her hand against the core's containment field, feeling the gentle vibration of power that could drive the massive carrier across light years in moments. "Sarah's last gift to us," she whispered. "She never knew she was completing work we'd begun decades ago." The Admiral's next stop was the Combat Information Center, where tactical officers ran combat simulations against Council defense patterns. The massive displays showed the positions of every ship in Earth's hidden fleet, each vessel representing a different approach to warfare that the Council had dismissed as obsolete. "The Yorktown report's ready for deployment," Commander Chen announced, his voice carrying the same determination that had marked his niece's final transmission. "All stealth systems are operational." Santos studied the tactical display, watching as green icons representing Earth's fleet moved into position throughout the solar system. The Council's standardized tactics were about to encounter something they had never trained for, human ingenuity combined with technologies they didn't believe possible. "Send word to all ships," Santos ordered, her voice carrying the weight of 2 decades of preparation. "Operation Silent Dawn is now active. Implement stellar camouflage protocols and begin Phase 1 deployment." As her orders echoed through the quantum comm network, Santos returned to the observation deck. Below, the first squadron of fighters lifted off, their hulls shimming briefly before becoming nearly invisible. They were the ghosts of Earth's past, rising to secure humanity's future. The real question wasn't whether they could match the Council's technology. It was whether the Council was prepared to face an enemy they didn't think could exist. The rings of Saturn shimmered like a veil of diamonds against the void. Hidden within this cosmic dance of ice and rock, the UES Thermopylae executed a maneuver that Council tactical doctrine had declared impossible. The destroyer rolled on its axis, using the gravitational fields of nearby moonlets to mask its approach. "Sensor ghost confirmed," Lieutenant Park reported from her tactical station. "Council patrol ships are registering us as a routine density fluctuation in the rings." Captain Michael Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. His ship, considered obsolete by Council standards, was about to demonstrate why humanity had never truly surrendered its martial heritage. "Begin gravitational lensing sequence. Let's give our friends from the Normandy their window." The Thermopyla's quantum core pulsed, generating a field that bent light and gravity in ways that Sarah Chen's research had helped perfect. Through this artificial distortion, the heavy cruiser Normandy slipped past the Council's primary detection grid, leading an entire battle group through the gap. In the asteroid belt, the Chinese destroyer Shenzhen performed its own intricate dance. Its modified hull plates absorbed and redirected scanning beams, creating a shadow large enough to conceal 3 support vessels. Commander Lai Wei had based the technique on ancient submarine warfare, adapting oceanic stealth principles to the 3-dimensional battlefield of space. All ships maintain emission discipline. Admiral Santos's voice carried through the quantum network, encrypted using frequencies derived from Sarah's Teller language. Remember, we're not here to start a war. We're here to demonstrate why one should never be necessary. The Council's automated defense networks continued their endless sweep of space, their rigid algorithms searching for known threat patterns. They found nothing unusual, just the regular background noise of the cosmos, the dance of gravity and radiation that had existed for billions of years. They didn't notice how that background noise was moving with purpose. Near Mars, the UES Enterprise led its squadron through a series of slingshot maneuvers around Phobos and Deimos. The complex gravitational interactions masked their drive signatures while building up speed that would make intercept impossible without matching their exact course. Status report from all groups. Santos commanded from the Remembrance's Combat Information Center. Group Avalon in position near Council Comm Relay Sigma 7. Came the first response. Ready to initiate quantum override. Group Excalibur holding station in the Kuiper Belt. Council automated platforms remain unaware. Group Triton maintaining stellar shadow position. We are reading no alerts from Council security systems. In the void between Jupiter and Saturn, a Council diplomatic vessel cruised on its scheduled route, its crew unaware that they were surrounded by ships their sensors couldn't detect. The human vessels moved like sea predators circling their prey, their positions calculated to exploit every blind spot in Council detection systems. Final status check on primary objectives, Santos ordered, her voice carrying the weight of 20 years of preparation. Council emergency response centers targeted and bracketed. We can isolate their command and control systems in under 3 minutes. Quantum override packages primed. All Council communication networks can be secured simultaneously. Strike teams standing by. We can neutralize automated defense platforms without causing permanent damage. Santos studied the tactical display, watching as the pieces of humanity's response moved into their final positions. The Council was about to learn that their dismissal of primitive human military thinking had been a grave mistake. All ships, synchronize quantum chronometers, she commanded. Operation Silent Dawn enters Phase 2 in 5 minutes. Remember Sarah Chen. Remember why we fight smart instead of fighting hard. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet prepared to reveal itself, not with the thunder of weapons, but with the precise application of capabilities the Council never imagined they possessed. The Council's primary communication hub sparkled like a jewel against the backdrop of space, its crystalline spires broadcasting signals across thousands of light years. At exactly 300 Earth Standard Time, those signals began to change. High Counselor Zextal noticed first, their multiple eye stalks focusing on the suddenly shifting display before them. Where routine status reports should have appeared, a different message began to play across every screen in the Council chamber. The final transmission of Sarah Chen. Security override, Zextal commanded, their voice resonating through the chamber. Initiate emergency protocols. Unable to comply, the automated system responded. All channels have been redirected through alternative protocols. Throughout Council space, the same scene repeated itself. Every communication device, from the grandest Ansible network to the smallest personal communicator, displayed the same message. Sarah's voice, her excitement about discovery, and the cold response of the automated defense system that ended her life. Impossible, Subdirector Miri whispered, her scaled hands flying across her control panel. Their technology is too primitive for this level of system access. The message shifted, and a new voice filled the Council chambers. Admiral Santos appeared on every screen, her uniform bearing rank insignias the Council had never seen before. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, she began, her tone carrying the weight of carefully controlled power. You are currently witnessing a demonstration of capabilities we had hoped never to reveal. Tactical displays throughout the chamber suddenly activated, showing the positions of Earth's fleet. Council security officers watched in growing alarm as hundreds of ships appeared from what their sensors had registered as empty space. We have temporarily assumed control of your primary communication and defense networks, Santos continued. Your automated response systems are currently in a state of controlled shutdown. We recommend against attempting to reactivate them. High Counselor Zextal rose from their seat, all four arms spread in a gesture of diplomatic authority. This is an act of war. This is an act of protection, Santos interrupted smoothly. Protection of future generations, both human and alien, from automated systems that prioritize protocol over life. The tactical displays updated, showing Earth's ships positioned around key Council infrastructure. Not in attack formation, but in defensive arrays. Our demands are simple, Santos continued. First, a complete overhaul of automated defense protocols, with mandatory organic oversight. Second, implementation of the Sarah-Chen Protocol, a new framework requiring all automated systems to undergo empathy testing and recognition of sapient life in all its forms. The Council chamber erupted in protests, but Santos continued undeterred. Third, establishment of the Chen Institute for Xenological Studies, dedicated to understanding new forms of life and communication. And finally, a formal acknowledgement that technological advancement without wisdom is merely sophisticated barbarism. Subdirector Mary's console chimed with an urgent alert. High Counselor, we're detecting energy signatures we've never seen before. Their ships are generating quantum fields that our scientists claimed were theoretical. You have 1 standard hour to begin preliminary discussions, Santos concluded. During this time, we will maintain our current positions, protecting your infrastructure from what we consider to be your own flawed defense systems. The message ended, replaced by a simple display showing Sarah's final research notes on stellar communication. Throughout Council space, automated systems remained in standby mode, their rigid protocols suspended by human ingenuity. In the Council chamber, Zextal sank back into their chair, all four arms lowered in a gesture of deep thought. How? They asked quietly. How did we miss this level of technological advancement? Subdirector Mary studied the tactical displays, watching the subtle movements of Earth's ships as they maintained their protective positions. We assumed, she replied slowly, that because they didn't follow our path of development, they must be behind us. We never considered they might have simply chosen a different path entirely. The Council's response arrived with mathematical precision. 47 warships emerged from hyperspace in a perfect geometric formation, their positions calculated by combat computers to maximize firing solutions while minimizing exposure. Council battle group detected, Lieutenant Park announced from the Thermopyla's tactical station. They're deploying according to Standard Response Pattern 7. Captain Rodriguez couldn't help but smile. Just like the simulations predicted. Execute Operation Poseidon's Dance. Throughout the solar system, Earth's ships began to move in ways that defied Council tactical doctrine. The Thermopyla dove into Saturn's rings, its modified shields brushing aside ice particles while its wake created a chaotic pattern of gravitational distortions. Behind it, 3 Council cruisers attempted to maintain their precise formation, only to find their sensors confused by the swirling debris. Target lost. The Council ship's automated systems reported, recalculating optimal pursuit vectors. But there was nothing optimal about the situation they faced. The Thermopylae emerged from the rings at an angle no Council engineer would have attempted, its hull skating the gravity well of a shepherd moon to slingshot toward its real objective. Near Jupiter's moon Europa, the UES Enterprise demonstrated why humans had never abandoned their naval warfare traditions. Captain Chen, Sarah's cousin, had studied ancient submarine tactics for 20 years. Now her ship glided through the electromagnetic currents between Jupiter and its moons, using natural phenomena as both shield and weapon. Council ships are attempting to establish a containment grid, Commander Santos reported from the Remembrance's tactical center. Their formation is perfect, textbook even. Exactly what we planned for. The Council Fleet's commander, High Captain Nexel, watched in growing frustration as human vessels violated principle after principle of proper space combat. They ignored optimal firing angles, deliberately flew into sensor-degrading phenomena, and seemed to treat the laws of physics more as guidelines than rules. Impossible maneuvers detected, the Council's tactical AI reported. Human vessels are exceeding predicted performance parameters by 327%. Because they never showed us their real capabilities, Nexel realized, watching as another perfectly executed containment maneuver failed to trap the elusive Earth ships. Near Mars, the Yorktown demonstrated the full potential of Sarah Chen's stellar communication discoveries. The destroyer's quantum core pulsed in harmony with solar frequencies, making the ship appear to Council sensors as nothing more than a solar prominence. 3 Council frigates flew past without detecting the vessel that was practically in their midst. Council ships are adjusting their tactics, reported Lieutenant Commander Pottle. They're attempting to compensate for our maneuverability advantage. But adaptation required time, and humanity had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Every Council response had been predicted, simulated, and countered before their ships even arrived. The Enterprise curved impossible through Jupiter's magnetic field, its hull channeling the electromagnetic energy in ways Council science had deemed theoretical. The Thermopylae emerged from Saturn's rings in 12 different places simultaneously, its quantum fields creating duplicates that even sophisticated Council sensors couldn't distinguish from the original. "This is not combat," High Captain Nexel transmitted to their fleet. This is art." Throughout the solar system, humanity's ships continued their elaborate dance. Each maneuver demonstrated not just technical superiority, but a fundamental difference in approaching space warfare. Where the Council saw space as a grid to be controlled, humans saw it as an ocean of possibilities. All ships maintained defensive posture, Admiral Santos commanded. "Remember, we're not here to destroy their fleet. We're here to show them why they should never want to fight us." The Council fleet's perfect formation began to break down as human ships continued to appear where they couldn't possibly be, moving in ways that shouldn't be possible, and treating the fundamental laws of physics with a creativity that bordered on irreverence. High Captain Nexel watched their tactical display dissolve into chaos and realized that the Council hadn't just underestimated human technology, they had underestimated human imagination. The neutron star pulsed with deadly radiation, its magnetic field strong enough to tear apart conventional starships. This was where the Council's tactical computers predicted they could finally corner the human fleet. After all, no rational commander would risk their ships in such a hazardous region. But the Council had yet to learn that human commanders operated on more than pure logic. Energy signatures detected in the stellar magnetic field. Lieutenant Park reported from her station aboard the Thermopylae. "Sir, they're alive." Captain Rodriguez leaned forward, studying the readings. Within the lethal magnetic storms surrounding the neutron star, patterns of energy danced and swirled. These weren't random fluctuations. They were conscious beings, living their lives in one of the most hostile environments imaginable. "Multiple Council warships approaching," Tactical announced. "They're charging weapons. Their targeting systems are locked on our position." Rodriguez opened a channel to the Remembrance. "Admiral, we've discovered a new species living in the stellar magnetosphere, but we got company coming." Admiral Santos' response was immediate. "All ships, implement Protocol Sanctuary. Form defensive pattern Delta around the magnetic life forms. We are now their shield." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, but not in retreat. Each vessel took up position around the neutron star's magnetic field, their modified shields extending to create a protective barrier around the space where the energy beings dwelled. High Captain Nexel watched in confusion as the tactical display showed human ships abandoning advantageous positions to cluster around what their sensors indicated was merely a stellar phenomenon. "They're trapped," Nexel's executive officer announced. "We can finish this now." But something about the human's behavior triggered a memory in Nexel's mind. Enhanced scans of the magnetic field. Look for patterns we might have missed. The results came back moments later, and Nexel's 4 hearts skipped simultaneously. The stellar phenomenon wasn't just random energy. It was teeming with life. Life that their automated systems had classified as irrelevant background radiation. All ships hold fire, Nexel commanded. The humans, they're protecting something. Within the magnetic field, the energy beings continued their ethereal dance, unaware of the drama unfolding around them. The human fleet's shields strained against the intense radiation, their quantum cores pulsing in harmony with Sarah Chen's stellar frequencies to maintain their protective barrier. Council ships are holding position, Lieutenant Commander Patel reported. They've powered down their weapons. Admiral Santos opened a channel to the Council fleet. Your automated systems missed them, just like they missed the significance of Sarah's neural patterns. How many other forms of life have been overlooked because they didn't fit your predetermined categories? The silence that followed was profound. On the Council ship's bridges, commanders and crews watched in awe as human vessels endured punishing radiation levels to protect beings they had just discovered. We could have destroyed these life forms without ever knowing they existed, Nexel responded finally. Just as our defense systems destroy young Sarah without truly understanding what she was. The human fleet maintained their protective formation, their shields adapting to allow the energy beings to continue their natural movements while keeping the harmful effects of Council scanning beams at bay. This is why we maintained our independence, Santos explained. Not because we didn't trust your technology, but because we knew there would always be things your automation couldn't understand. Lives it couldn't recognize. Potential it would miss. Deep within the magnetic field, the energy beings began to react to the human ship's presence. Their patterns shifted, forming complex harmonics that matched the frequencies Sarah had discovered in her stellar research. They're trying to communicate, Rodriguez reported, his voice filled with wonder. Using the same stellar language Sarah was studying. She would have loved to see this. The Council fleet withdrew to a respectful distance, their weapons remaining powered down. They had come expecting to find rebels who needed to be contained. Instead, they found guardians who had recognized life their own systems had dismissed as irrelevant. The Council chamber had never seen such a gathering. Representatives from every spacefaring species sat alongside delegates from newly recognized forms of life, including a containment field housing one of the magnetic beings from the neutron star, its energy patterns shifting in harmony with the chamber's lighting. High Counselor Zextal stood at the central podium, all 4 arms raised in the traditional gesture of profound change. Today marks the implementation of the Sarah Chen Protocol across all Council space. No longer will automated systems be the sole arbiters of life and death. No longer will we risk overlooking new forms of intelligence simply because they don't match our predetermined patterns. Admiral Santos watched from Earth's delegation seat, her dress uniform adorned with both Council and Earth insignias. Beside her sat Sarah's parents, their faces showing both grief and pride as they watched their daughter's legacy transform galactic society. The Chen Institute for Xenological Studies will be established on multiple worlds, Zextal continued, with branches specifically designed to accommodate different forms of life and consciousness. Its primary mission will be to ensure that no intelligence, no matter how unique or unexpected, goes unrecognized. In orbit above, the combined fleet of Earth and Council vessels maintained a new formation. The human ships had taught their Council counterparts the art of adaptive tactics, showing them how to blend rigid efficiency with creative thinking. Furthermore, Zextal announced, Earth's fleet will maintain its independence while joining a new joint defense force. Their unique approaches to both technology and strategy will help train a new generation of officers who understand that true strength lies not in automated responses, but in the ability to recognize and adapt to the unknown. The magnetic being in the containment field pulsed with patterns that the newly modified Council translators interpreted as approval. Its kind had already begun sharing knowledge with both human and council scientists, revealing perspectives on space and time that neither civilization had imagined. The old fleet that humanity kept hidden will now serve as the foundation for something new. Santos spoke from her seat. Not just a military force, but an expedition fleet dedicated to finding and protecting new forms of life throughout the galaxy. On screens throughout Council space, the recorder played a tribute to Sarah Chen. Not just her final moments, but her entire journey, her excitement about discovery, her willingness to challenge established theories, and her final breakthrough that had unknowingly completed research Earth had been conducting in secret for decades. Let her legacy be this, Zextal declared, that we learn to look beyond our assumptions, that we remember that intelligence and life can take forms we never expected, that we value wisdom and understanding over blind adherence to protocol. The Council Chamber's central display showed the first graduates of the new Joint Training Program. Council officers learned human techniques for creative problem-solving, while human officers shared their insights into recognizing patterns that automated systems might miss. Together, they were creating a defense force that combined the best of both approaches. In the Nevada desert, the underground hangars had been transformed into training facilities. New ships were being built there, incorporating both council efficiency and human ingenuity. But more importantly, they were being staffed by crews trained to think beyond conventional boundaries. The stars themselves have lessons to teach us, Santos concluded, quoting Sarah's final research notes. We just have to learn how to listen. As if in response, the magnetic beam pulsed with a pattern that matched the frequency Sarah had discovered in her stellar research. The pattern spread through the chamber systems, creating a harmony between organic and technological, between rational and intuitive, between what was known and what remained to be discovered. In that moment, every being in the chamber understood what Sarah had begun to realize in her final moments. The galaxy was far more alive, far more varied, and far more wonderful than any single perspective could comprehend. It took a child's curiosity, a fleet's dedication, and a species' determination to begin to see the full picture. The old fleet had served its purpose, not through force of arms, but by demonstrating why understanding must always guide advancement, why wisdom must temper power, and why the ability to recognize new forms of life would always be more important than the ability to destroy them.